Get ready for the legal dictation containing 480 words at the speed of 80 words per minute. Let's start. 3, 2, 1, start. The Union Public Service Commission has, in this appeal, challenged the judgment dated 17th April 2007 passed by the learned single judge of this court dismissing its writ petition C number 17583 of 2006. The UPSC had filed the said writ petition seeking the quashing of an order dated 13th November 2006 passed by the Central Information Commission, New Delhi, allowing the appeal filed by the respondents herein under Section 19 3 of the Right to Information Act 2005 RTI Act. At the outset, this court directs the deletion of the CIC, which has been arrayed as respondent number 1 to this appeal, consequent upon it being arrayed as such in the writ petition. This court has repeatedly issued practice directions stressing that a judicial or quasi judicial body or tribunal whose order is challenged in a writ petition and thereafter possibly in appeal ought not to itself be impleaded as a party respondent. The only exception would be if malafides are alleged against any individual member of such authority or tribunal, in which case again it would be such member and not the authority oblique tribunal who may be impleaded as a respondent. Accordingly, the cause title of the present appeal will read as Union Public Service Commission versus Shiv Sambhu and others. The respondents herein were candidates who had appeared in the civil services preliminary examination 2006. The civil services examination, which is in two parts, a preliminary examination followed by a main examination, is a competitive examination held every year by the UPSC, a constitutional authority under Article 320 of the Constitution of India. The successful candidates are, in the order of their merit, recruited to the Indian Administrative Service, Indian Foreign Service, Indian Police Service, and non technical civil services. Pursuant to the recommendations of the Kothari Committee in 1974-77, which was constituted by the central government, changes were introduced in the pattern of the CSE. This was followed by another review carried out by the Satish Chandra Committee in 1988-89, whereafter certain other changes were introduced. Importantly, one of the recommendations made by the Kothari Committee was in regard to adopting of scaling of marks for different papers using appropriate statistical techniques. The CSE preliminary examination has two objective type papers, a general studies paper of 50 marks and one optional subject of 300 marks. This serves as a screening test for the civil services bracket main examination. On an average, around 4 lakh candidates sit for the CSE preliminary examination every year. It is conducted at approximately 940 centers in 45 different cities in the country. For the optional paper of 300 marks in the preliminary examination, a candidate can choose one of the 23 subjects in various disciplines like social sciences, physical sciences, life sciences, business studies, engineering, medical sciences, etc. Stop. Get ready for general dictation containing 480 words at the speed of 80 words per minute. 3 seconds. Start. In regard to the amending provision, I want to know from the minister what would be his difficulty even if minor offences are taken to courts of law. For instance, the Motor Vehicles Act deals with various offences, both major and minor, and various minor offences under the Act are taken to courts and people are prosecuted. What is the difficulty in taking these cases of a minor nature to courts of law? There, the people will have some safety that they will get a hearing, and if the offences are really offences, then they would be prosecuted. Otherwise, they will be acquitted. Here, the minister says that there should be a security deposit. If there is a violation of a particular provision of the enactment, then the executive authority will have the power either to confiscate a part of the amount or the whole of the amount. We are clothing the executive authority with more powers. I do not grudge giving powers to the executive authority provided they are used properly and effectively and in a most fair manner. But unfortunately, there have been discriminations apart from the ineffectiveness of the various provisions. Wherever these provisions were used, there had been discriminatory use of these provisions against a few or in favor of a few. Normally, when officers are clothed with more powers, there is large scope for corruption. I feel that it would be desirable to avoid such malpractices, and it would be desirable, I think, that even for minor offences, the parties should have a chance to defend their actions. I do not think that this problem of dealing with minor offenses will become complex or complicated in any way if we take them to courts of law. I want a reply from the minister in what way he is suffering from a handicap in dealing with minor offenses or offenses of a technical nature. The honorable member made the point that even if this thing was acceptable to the House, he did not know what amount would be demanded as security. So the ministers should tell us what amount is normally expected from a licensee in all cases and what the offenses are which are of a technical or minor nature which he has in view. We are not told which are major offenses and which are minor offenses. Clarifications on these points are necessary. I wish that the act which came into effect long ago was implemented properly. I know that the minister here is very earnest in implementing it, but his colleagues at the state level and at the central level are disappointing him. The Industrial Policy Resolution of 1948 was good so far as it went, but unfortunately, the spirit of it could not be understood or appreciated by the common man in this country. So, a new orientation of this policy was given. Stop over.